The White House has announced tentative plans for a large-scale military parade on the orders of President Donald Trump. Trump hailed a 2-hour military parade conducted in Paris during his visit there last year, and gave orders to replicate it in Washington, D.C. President Trump is incredibly supportive of America's great service members who risk their lives every day to keep our country safe, White House Press Secretary Sarah Huckabee Sanders said. He has asked the Department of Defense to explore a celebration at which all Americans can show their appreciation. Trump was the guest of honor at last year's Bastille Day Parade, an event where French and international forces marched to show their strength. It is a traditional event in France, but one without equivalent in the United States. It's also much more familiar in states like North Korea and the former USSR, with large-scale parades each year showing off the country's military hardware like tanks, artillery, planes and missiles. Raining on his parade, troops marched down the Champs-Élysées during Paris' Bastille Day Parade. AAP, the president has more than a few hurdles to jump to get the project on the move. Trump's appreciation of military fanfare is not shared by fellow Republicans in Congress. "I'm not looking for a Soviet-style hardware display," Senator Lindsey Graham said. "It's kind of cheesy. I think it shows weakness." Quite frankly, Senator John Kennedy said, "I think confidence is silent and insecurity is loud. America is the most powerful country in all of human history. Everybody knows it, and we don't need to show it off." Adam Smith, the top Democrat on the House Armed Services Committee, was more scathing. "A military parade like this, one that is unduly focused on a single person, is what authoritarian regimes do, not democracies," he said. California Congresswoman Jackie Speier told CNN she was stunned by the parade announcement. "We have a Napoleon in the making here," she said. Local problems: Donald Trump and French President Emmanuel Macron at the Bastille Day Parade. AAP, military parades are typically only conducted in the United States after significant military victories. Last Washington, D.C. military parade was held after the First Gulf War in 1991. Plans of the parade also came as news to local elected officials in the District of Columbia. The office of Mayor Muriel Bowser announced they would not cover any of the parade's costs. The district council issued a brief but snarky statement via Twitter. "Tanks but no tanks," the tweet read. "It's no surprise local politicians aren't lifting a finger to help Trump." In the 2016 election, just 4% of voters in Washington, D.C., cast a ballot for Trump, his most lopsided losing margin. President Trump's desire to spend millions of taxpayer dollars on a military parade in the style of authoritarian leaders he admires would feed his ego and perhaps his base, rather than serve any legitimate purpose or keep with any long-held American traditions, said D.C.'s delegate to Congress Eleanor Holmes Norton. While the District of Columbia, as the nation's capital, is proud to host grand federal celebrations, such as the inauguration, we will fight a shutdown of our city that simply assuages Trump's desire to brag and boast in a series of tweets, and military parades are hardly cheap. The Washington Post reports shipping Abrams tanks and high-tech hardware to D.C. could cost millions of dollars. Not to mention the damage a tank would do to the asphalt of Pennsylvania Avenue. Copyright 9 Digital Pty Limited 2018.